Saudi Aramco, life-saving rules. What are the life-saving rules? Following a review of past safety incidents, Saudi Aramco identified that the majority of fatal incidents were caused by a failure to comply with 8 specific rules. We call these the life-saving rules. Why are these rules important? By focusing on these rules, we will improve our safety performance while building a solid platform to make our company safer and more sustainable. Who do the life-saving rules apply to? Everyone, all employees and contractors. These are more than a set of rules, they highlight the exact areas where improvement is needed. These rules are in place not only to improve our safety performance, but to ensure that our people go home safely to their families every day. Work permit. Workers must understand the work to be performed. Understand the work permit scope, conditions, and limitations. Confirm that the work permit is valid. Stop work if permit conditions change, and notify the supervisor. Work supervisors must define the scope of work and determine if a work permit is required. Confirm that all hazards are identified and associated risks are controlled, including those involving simultaneous operations. Communicate work permit information to all involved in the work, as well as those affected by the work. Confirm that permit conditions are met and all required resources are at the worksite before work starts. Frequently check the worksite to ensure compliance with work permit conditions. Once the work is complete, confirm that the worksite has been returned to a safe condition. Isolation. Workers must confirm with the supervisor that all isolations are in place. Confirm that the system is isolated before applying a personal lock. Test equipment or witness a test to ensure isolation is effective. Confirm with the supervisor that it is safe to begin work. Stop work immediately if the isolation is incorrect or not effective, and notify the supervisor. Work supervisors must confirm that the isolation method is agreed upon and executed by competent persons. Confirm that the system is isolated from all energy sources. Check that no stored energy or other hazards remain. Confirm that an isolation system is correctly used. Check that personnel apply their own personal locks. Witness the isolation test. Confirm that it is safe to begin work. Confirm isolation effectiveness during work execution. Confined space. Workers must always ensure a confined space entry permit has been issued before entering a confined space. Confirm with the confined space standby man that they can safely enter. Understand and follow precautions associated with the confined space entry permit. Stop work immediately and exit the confined space if conditions change. And notify the supervisor. Confined space standby men must control access to the confined space at all times. Always maintain a means of communication with everyone inside the confined space. Keep a log of all workers inside the confined space. Stop work immediately and alert those inside in the event of an emergency or a change in conditions, and notify the supervisor. Work supervisors must confirm that all other options have been examined and that there is sufficient reason to enter the confined space. Confirm that a confined space entry plan is in place, including rescue provisions. Confirm that the confined space is positively and effectively isolated. Confirm that the hazard controls identified on the work permit are in place. Confirm that gas testing has been carried out as per work permit requirements. Confirm that safe entry requirements are communicated to all involved. Confirm that a confined space standby man is present at each entrance when any worker is inside a confined space. Confirm that it is safe to start work. Fall protection. Workers must have authorization before working on unprotected, elevated areas. Know the correct fall arrest equipment to be used and how to use it. Always use personal fall arrest equipment when working on unprotected, elevated areas. Inspect all fall arrest equipment before each use. If equipment is found to be faulty, discard and replace it. Use proper climbing techniques and maintain 3 points of contact on ladders at all times. Stop work immediately if conditions change and notify the supervisor. Work supervisors must confirm that all other options have been examined and that there is sufficient reason to work on unprotected, elevated areas. Confirm that it is safe to begin working at heights. Confirm that the correct fall arrest equipment is available, in good condition, and being used properly. Road safety. Drivers must complete a vehicle inspection before each trip. Not move the vehicle until all occupants are wearing their seat belts. Understand and implement a journey management plan. Not use any mobile device while driving. Not exceed Saudi Aramco allowed speed limits. Adjust speed to road conditions. Passengers must always use a seat belt while in a moving vehicle. Never distract the driver while the vehicle is moving. Intervene if a driver uses a mobile device while in a moving vehicle. Intervene if a driver exceeds the Saudi Aramco allowed speed limit. Intervene if the driver or fellow passengers are not wearing seat belts. Work supervisors must confirm that a journey management plan is in place, understood, and being followed. Monitor employees' driving behavior and intervene when required. Confirm that vehicles under their custody are properly inspected and maintained. Excavation. Workers must confirm with the supervisor that it is safe to start work and only begin excavating when instructed to do so. Continuously monitor ground and environmental conditions. Follow all work permit requirements. Stop work if conditions change or non-identified utilities are discovered, and notify the supervisor. Work supervisors must confirm that all underground hazards have been identified, located, and marked on site. Confirm that a documented inspection is performed before workers are allowed to initially enter an excavation or after a change in site conditions. Have barriers and signs in place to restrict access to excavation sites. Prevent equipment and vehicle movement near the excavation edge. Check that soil movement is controlled to prevent collapse and to maintain ground stability. Confirm that a confined space entry permit is issued when the excavation reaches 1.2 meters 4 feet. PPE. Workers must always use Saudi Aramco approved personal protective equipment (PPE) in restricted areas and project sites. Know and use the required PPE for a task. Confirm that they have been appropriately trained to use specialized PPE. Understand the capabilities and limitations of their PPE before use. Inspect all PPE before each use. If equipment is found to be faulty, discard and replace it. Stop work immediately if PPE is not available, is not being used correctly, or is damaged, and notify the supervisor. Work supervisors must identify task-specific PPE. Confirm that workers are trained on the correct use of PPE. Confirm that all PPE required for a job is available and being used properly. Confirm that workers inspect and maintain their PPE. Danger zones. Workers must always maintain awareness of the surroundings. Keep out of areas where heavy equipment is operating unless instructed otherwise. Stay out of heavy equipment and vehicle blind spots and ensure that the driver is able to see them at all times. Wear all required PPE at all times. Never position themselves under a lifted load. Understand lines of fire and follow precautions associated with hazardous objects, equipment, substances, and other conditions. Use correct techniques when undertaking strenuous activities. Stop work immediately if conditions change or a worker is in an unsafe location, and notify the supervisor. Work supervisors must implement measures to protect workers from operating heavy equipment and vehicles, including restricting access and installing barriers. Limit or eliminate work in areas where heavy equipment and vehicles are operating. Confirm that signaling methods and communications are agreed upon and understood by all workers. Confirm that the site is properly lit and that all required PPE is being worn. Confirm that all hazards are identified and controlled.